Hello my dear friends and my dear students, Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to Top Lesson for you. Right now, upon the request of some of my friends that they told that please sir, record the anatomy from the beginning. We want to know about the anatomy from the basics, that what is anatomy and what is this knowledge about, right? So now I'm going to record the basics of anatomy, that what is anatomy and what is this knowledge important for, and what are the important points regarding anatomy, what is the history of anatomy, and then we will go forward and forward. We will learn anatomy and other different things regarding anatomy, right friends? So let me introduce the word anatomy first of all to you guys, that what does anatomy means, right? Anatomy, right? So it's two words, right? It is a two word and it has different meanings, but we will try to know the exact meaning of this word, that what is anatomy, right? First of all, let me tell you that this word was first introduced by a Greek physician who was called the Theophrastus. Right? So Theophrastus for the first time introduced the word anatomy, and it wasn't called by him anatomy. He called this word as anatominin, right? He called it anatominin, right? And this anatominin means to cutting up, right? This anatominin means cutting up, right? This word for the first time was used by the Theophrastus. He was a scientist. He didn't use the word anatomy, he used the word anatominin, right? And this anatominin word means cutting up, right? Then when the knowledge was going forward, when the knowledge was going to be flourished, new words came to the notice. New words came, and in Greek language, the word anatomy means, the word anatomy means in Greek language, it means to cut up. To cut up, right? And in Latin language, this word means, in Latin language, this word means to dissect or dissection. Dissection or to dissect. Right, friends? So look carefully. In Latin language, this anatomy word means to cut up, right? And in Greek language, it means to cut up, and in Latin language, it means dissection or to dissect, right? So we haven't defined anatomy. We'll define the word anatomy completely. Look carefully. The first of all, this word, not this anatomy word, but anatominin word was used by Theophrastus, and this word means to cut up or cutting up. Then, when knowledge was coming more and more, in Greek language, this anatomy word means to cut up, and in Latin language, this anatomy means to dissect or dissection, right? So it is two words. Let me clear this word ana, and we have tome, right? So how many words are there? There are two words. Ana means to separate. To separate, right? And tome means, here tome means body, right? I will write body parts, right? So what does the word anatome means? Anatome means when we separate the body parts, this is called anatome, right? Look carefully. Ana means to separate, tome means body parts. So what do we do in anatomy? In anatomy we separate the body parts. In anatomy we learn how to separate the body parts, right? Let me go further forward and we will know completely about the anatomy, that what does it mean. Look carefully. Look my dear friends, whenever we use ana and we put instead of E, look carefully, here we have E, but when we put Y instead, so this to me now means cutting, right? This to me now means cutting. Look, I will give examples and then you will know that what I am going to tell, right? So ana still means to separate, right? And when we put instead of E, right? Why? Because when there is E, it means tome. Tome means body parts or body. But if we put instead of E here Y, to me, then to me means cutting, right? So we cut and separate body parts. How? Look carefully. There is a word we certainly use, the tonsillectomy. Tonsillectomy. Look carefully. Right? And then there is another word which means appendicectomy. Appendicectomy. Right? There is another example, right? We have cholecystectomy, right? We have tomy. So this tomy I have written here means cutting. Now look carefully. When we cut, right? When we cut the tonsils, right? We have lymph nodes here. When we cut the tonsils, it means tonsillectomy. So what does this word means? It means cutting the tonsils. So tonsillectomy. Here it means cutting the appendix. So appendicectomy. It means cutting the cholecystectomy or gallbladder. So look, cutting. So that's why I have written here tomy, cutting, right? So anatomy. Now look carefully, friends. Anatome. Ana means to separate. Look, these markers are very close to each other. Now when they are going away from each other, this is called ana, right? They are separating from each other. But we have here tome. So anatome, right? Here if I write it combinedly, anatome, right? So anatome means to separate body parts, right? But if you use the word anatomy, so instead of E we have put here Y. So when we put instead of E Y, so its meanings becomes different, right? So anatomy, ana means to separate. How do we separate? Look carefully, friends, it's very easy. How do we separate? So we have to cut, right? If you want to separate this finger out of my hand, what do you have to do? You have to cut this finger, right? You have to do tomy, right? So anatomy means cutting and separating different parts of the body is called anatomy. Cutting and separating different parts of the body is called anatomy. Clear, friends? I haven't defined anatomy, that what is anatomy. I will define it right now. But we just want to know about this word anatomy, right? Let me repeat once again. This word was for the first time used by Theophrastus as anatemnen, not anatomy, anatemnen. And this anatemnen means cutting up, right? Then when the knowledge was flourishing in the Greek language, this anatomy word came to be known, and this anatomy word in Greek language means to cut up. And in Latin language, this anatomy word means dissection or to dissect, right? And if we want to know about the complete meaning, so it is made up of this one word is made up of two subwords. Ana means to separate, tome means body parts, right? And if we put anatomy instead of e, we put y, so it becomes anatomy. So tomy means cutting and ana means to separate, right? What is anatomy? Anatomy is the science in which we cut different body parts, in which we dissect body parts, right? So this is called anatomy. Now let me define anatomy. So the definitions of anatomy, if we want to define anatomy, how will we define it? It's very easy, friends. It is the science which deals with the structural organization of body of living organisms. Let me write it here. The science which deals with structural organization of body of living organisms. Not only humans, my friends, living organisms. Look carefully. But there is the anatomy, the difference between the anatomy of each organism, right? So generally, when we talk about anatomy, we mean to discuss the structural organization. That means that we have to discuss that what is the composition of the body, what is the body made of, right? If you want to know about the anatomy of this marker, it's very easy. Look, it has a tip, right? And it has another tip which is used for writing. It has a head here, it is a tube, and inside it there is a foam, and these are the different parts of it, right? So what did we do? We cut it different parts, we separated different parts of this marker, right? So we are doing the anatomy of this marker, right? Now look carefully. The science which deals with the structural organization of the body of living organisms, not only the humans, every organism, every living organism has anatomy, right? So this was the first definition. Now the next definition that we should know that what is anatomy is that it is the art and science of cutting body parts, right? It is the art and science of cutting body parts. Why are we cutting the body parts? Why? Look carefully, my dear friends. If I draw here a baby, here is a person standing, right? Look carefully. And we know that here are his eyes and this is his mouth. And here is its chest cavity and then abdominal cavity and then the pelvic cavity, right? Look carefully. The art and science of cutting body parts. If we want to know where is the heart, so we have to dissect the thoracic cavity. If we dissect the thoracic cavity here, so we put one part on that side and one part on this side. We have dissected and opened it, right? So when we are going to dissect this, what are we doing? We are doing anatomy actually. Actually, we are doing anatomy. So look carefully. Dissections, right? Anatomy means to dissect. Anatomy means to cut. Right, friends? So look, when we open this thoracic cavity, we will see that heart is present in thoracic cavity in the left side. Not totally in the left side, but towards the left side. Look carefully. Look carefully. And here are two pleuras. We know that here are two lungs also present. Now let's know what I'm going to tell you. The art and science of cutting body parts. Okay, we want to cut the body parts. Why we want to cut? Why did we do this? Why are we doing anatomy? What is the need of anatomy? Look, to ascertain their first location. Where is the location of the heart? Where is the location of the lungs? Where is the location of stomach? Where is the location of the kidneys? Where is the location of the abdominal viscera? Where are the location of pancreas? Where is the location of spleen? The location of liver? We want to know about the body, right? So if you want to know about the body, internally or externally, you have to cut, you have to do anatomy, you have to enter the body. So how do you enter the body? You have to do anatomy, right? So if you want to do anatomy, you have to do dissections. You have to dissect the body parts, right? If you want to know about brain, how will you know about the brain from outside? No, you have to open, you have to dissect, you have to cut and open body parts, enter inside, pull the brain and put it on table, and you want to study that. And if you want to study the brain, you have to again dissect the brain and again open the brain and see all those parts, right? So for anatomy, you have to know about dissections. So the art and science which teaches the dissections of the body, which teach you how to dissect the body, how to enter the body, and it shows you the composition of the body, that what is the body is made up of, right? So look carefully. To ascertain their location, we want to know about the location of different body parts. We want to know about the size of different parts. We want to know about the shapes of different parts of the body, right? We want to know about these, and we want to know right? And what do we want? Look carefully. Here is the heart. The heart is located in the thoracic cavity. What is the relation of the heart with lungs? What is the relation of the heart with thoracic cavity? What is the relation of the heart with other viscera which are present here, right? So we want to know about their location, about their size, about their shape, and about their relations with other structures. So this is the definition of anatomy, right, friends? Why do you do anatomy? What is anatomy? Anatomy is the science of cutting. Anatomy is the science of cutting what? Cutting body parts. Why are you cutting the body parts? Why are you entering the body? Right? To ascertain their location. Where is the heart? What is the location of the heart? What is the shape of the heart? What is the weight of the heart? What is the size of the heart? What is the relations of the heart with other viscera? So you want to know this. And if you want to know this, you have to do anatomy. Right? So to ascertain their location, their size, their shape, their weight, and about their relations with other viscera or other structures. So if you want to know about the relations of the organs with its surrounding organs, you have to enter the body. You have to do anatomy, you have to dissect the body and enter the body, and then you can tell what is going on inside the body. Right? So this is the definition of anatomy. And another very, very small definition of anatomy that if you want to know is that anatomy is, in anatomy, we do cutting up. We do cuttings, right? So let me write it here, the third definition. Anatomy means cutting up to see what is inside the body. What's inside body? What does mean by anatomy? Anatomy means cutting up to see what's inside the body. We cut, we do dissections, and we enter the body, and we want to know what is the body made up of, what is the structure of the body, what is the composition of the body, and what are the functions of different body parts, right? So anatomy means this, right? And the another thing about anatomy, that it is the scientific study of body structures and development. The next definition, the fourth one, the science of body structures and development. It also means anatomy. Look, how does the body develops? Development means how the body forms. What is the composition of eye? How the eye forms? What are the different things which are combining and making the eye? Right, friends? So we mean anatomy deals with the development and structures of the body. Clear, friends? Okay, the next about anatomy, we can say that anatomy is the science. Anatomy is the science which deals with composition of body parts. This is anatomy, right? So I hope you understood about anatomy. If now let me give you some examples. Let me give you some examples if you want to completely know about anatomy, that what does anatomy mean, right, friends? Now look carefully. If someone tells you that please do the anatomy of this room, right? So you have to tell what? This room has a ceiling, it has a floor, it has 4 walls, it has a door, it has a window, right? It has fans, it has lights hanging, right? It has some chairs, it has a carpet. These are all the structures of this room, right? And if you want to know about the anatomy of a mobile, right? If you want to know about the anatomy of many things that we can see in our surroundings, right? So you can do the anatomy of them, right? So if someone tells you about the anatomy of the human body, that please, if you have the understanding of anatomy, please tell me something about the anatomy of your teacher. Look, this is the head region, right? This is the thoracic region, then the abdominal region. This is the hand, upper limb. This is forearm. This is forearm. This is the hand. These are the fingers, right? We are cutting the body. We are dissecting the body parts, right? So this is anatomy, right? So in anatomy, we do dissections. Okay, friends, this was about the definition of anatomy and the introduction of anatomy. In the next lecture, I will go in a detailed history of anatomy, that what is the history of anatomy, from where did the anatomy come, and who were the scientists and the doctors who played their role up to bringing the knowledge of the anatomy up to this 21st century, right? So we will see that in the next lecture. So don't go anywhere. Keep watching Top Listen for You. Thank you so much.